My name is Sage Albanese. I graduated in the class of 2023. I majored in mass communications with a focus in media and broadcasting, and I am currently a freelance photographer as well as I work in special education. So when I did come into Five Towns, I was 21 years old as a freshman, so I took many gap years. And when I was in high school, I wasn't the best student. I just didn't care about the general education subjects. So when I eventually got to the point where I wanted to go to college again, me and my mom both knew that I had to do something that I was passionate about if I wanted to excel. So she actually found Five Towns for me. I'd never heard of Five Towns despite living on Long Island my whole life. So she just kind of mentioned it to me. She said, let's just go look at it. So me and her came, we took a tour, we met Tom, and I loved it immediately just because I liked the small school aspect of it. Everything was in one building, everyone was close. Because I always knew I didn't want to go to Stony Brook. I went to Suffolk before I went here and I didn't like it, even that was too big. So coming here and actually seeing the school and seeing how close-knit it was, especially in the mass comm department, really drew me in. And then after speaking to Tom, and I think I met with Holly or Bridget too when I first came, and hearing about all the resources that they had and everything really drew me in because I knew that I would have people to rely on when I got here. Obviously, being a photographer, having that media aspect at this school helped me a lot. I started photography when I was in high school, just going to Rangers games and taking photos from the sideline stuff, and really just kind of taking them and then posting them, not doing anything to them. So coming here definitely helped me prolong my photography business. I'm able to edit my photos better now. I understand Photoshop and most Adobe platforms now. Even in special education, you wouldn't think the two would kind of go hand in hand, but they do, just for the fact that coming into Five Towns, I didn't know anyone. I was older than most of the freshmen I came into school with, so it kind of had to open up my communication skills, which is ironic. So it broke me out of my shell, and that's really what our whole major was about, was breaking out of your shell, going in front of the camera, doing a radio show, things you're not used to. And it definitely helped me throughout my 4 years here and then continue into education, which is another thing that I never thought I'd go into and I didn't have much experience in, but ultimately ended up loving it. Well, in my senior year, I was a TA for I think it was Mac 280, which was a Photoshop class or something. That was my first taste of doing anything educational-wise. I always thought when I graduated Five Towns, I'd go into a media-based job. So being a TA really gave me another foot into another door, and I actually ended up teaching a full class of that when the professor was out. She trusted me a lot with that, and that was my first time actually teaching students and having that trust put in my hands. And I never thought I was going to step back foot into a school again. I thought once I was done, I'd be out. But after doing that, it really kind of opened my eyes to other things that I could do. I could teach media, or I could, go into teaching people about photography or something. I have a personal experience with special needs. I have a disabled brother. So that was always something that was kind of in the back of my mind. So being a TA definitely helped me get comfortable with teaching other people and being around people who are depending on me to learn. Another thing that Five Towns taught me was just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I came in here very uncomfortable, didn't like being in front of the camera, didn't even really like talking to people. I was very shy. Like I said, everyone was younger than me, but I had to learn how to just be comfortable with the fact that I was going to be uncomfortable a lot while I was here. And eventually I stopped being uncomfortable by my senior year, and I did a lot more. So that's definitely the one thing, probably the most important thing that it taught me. My advice to them will actually be my regret. I regret that I wasn't involved enough at Five Towns, and I wasn't involved enough with the extracurriculars and doing the extra credit projects. Up until my senior year, I spent all of my sophomore year in COVID. I didn't want to come to school just because I didn't want to drive. So I missed out a lot. That's my sophomore year. So my senior year was really the first time that I actually took that step, decided I was going to try to be in front of the camera more. I took a broadcasting production class with Mike Quick. Start of the semester, he was like, "You're quiet. Like, you need to emphasize, you need to get mad, you need to yell." And it took probably until like the last 2 weeks of that semester for me to actually do it. But towards the end, at the last week of class, when we were all done, he was like, "That's the person I knew you could be. That's the person when you first walked in, you could have always been, and like keep doing that." My senior year, I also got to cover a high profile news story for when George Santos was getting arraigned. And that was probably one of the most fun times I've had in my senior year, was doing that. And it kind of hit me like, I missed all of this. I could have been doing these the past 4 years. So my advice to other college students is just take that leap of faith and, again, get comfortable being uncomfortable and do something that you might not think you'd like, because you might end up loving it and wish you did it more.